The Joy of Creation is one of the most famous Five Nights at Freddy's fan games of all time, being the first taste of what a free roam FNaF game could look like over 5 years before Security Breach released. Since that first alpha, the game has transformed into what it is today, the Joy of Creation Story Mode, featuring 5 levels that blend free roam movement with the classic FNaF Office gameplay, none more similar to the latter than The Office. Well, it's actually the attic, but just smooth transition. One of the most iconic levels of the Joy of Creation story mode is its office. Like the levels preceding it, it involves the core 4 animatronics: Ignited Freddy, Ignited Bonnie, Ignited Chica, and Ignited Foxy. To win, you just need to make it to 6 AM while flashing Freddy in the hallway after finding him on the cameras, looking at Foxy on the camera when he appears, finding all of Chica's cupcakes when she shows up, and not looking at Bonnie in the cameras. All these animatronics work to cover each other in different ways. Foxy will kill you if you flash him in the hallway he's in, making you take more time looking at the cameras, which might cause Freddy to disappear before you can flash him. Chica's cupcakes can appear outside as well, so they can be guarded by Foxy, as well as, again, wasting time for Freddy. And lastly, Bonnie will knock out your cameras while you're attempting to find Freddy, creating complete blind spots for Freddy and the cupcakes to hide in. Now, this is pretty smart game design, having all these mechanics intertwine and create interesting situations to put you in as you try and keep up all of these spinning plates. But there are a few little kinks with how these mechanics actually interact. For one, Foxy and Bonnie's mechanics are really at ends with each other, despite being told that they're working together. Bonnie does not stop you from dealing with Foxy, and does not make Foxy more dangerous when he punches out the cameras. He actually makes Foxy much more predictable, because Foxy can't spawn on the punched out cameras. So while it hides Freddy and the cupcakes, there is no punishment for flashing the hallway of a punched out camera, since you know Foxy can't spawn there. It honestly kind of feels like these two are beefing with how much they step on each other's toes. Secondly, Chica's mechanics are kind of disjointed from the rest of the cast. While Chica's cupcakes can appear outside the doors to be kind of a mini Freddy that requires you to clear Foxy first, they also add the hiding spots around the office, which aren't connected to any other character's mechanics, aside from the fact that it's another time waster. Last, and possibly most important, is the fact that Freddy randomly kills you at 6 AM right before the end of the night. This isn't actually random though, and some players might not have had this even happen to them. From what I can tell, unless you die to Freddy twice, the game doesn't tell you that you need to flash him 12 times to complete the night. After researching for this video, I found out that this is foreshadowed by the analog clock moving 30 minutes every time you flash Freddy, and you need the clock to line up to be at 6 when it hits 6. I think it's a bit hard to tell in my opinion, so I do still think that this is a failing on the part of the game, since you're only told you need to flash Freddy, not being told how many times until you get to the end and the game pulls the rug out from under you. Twice. These are pretty minor issues, but especially between the Foxy Bonnie situation and Freddy randomly killing you, I think it's fair to say that while this level is great, it is flawed. However, these problems are all rectified in the newly rebooted The Joy of Creation's Office demo, with the addition of... Oh wait, yeah, I forgot to tell you. Many games have been made by fans based on the popular Five Nights at Freddy's series of horror video games. And thanks to Scott and Dude Cawthon, 5 popular fan game creators have been given the ability to sell their previous games over multiple different devices, as well as being given financial support to develop a new game in their fan game series. Being one of the most popular and polished FNaF fan games of all time, it was obvious why the Joy of Creation was included here. While a lot of ideas were tossed around, Nixon settled on rebooting the series entirely as just The Joy of Creation. And, as a part of FNAF's 10th anniversary celebration, The Joy of Creation's Office demo was released to the public. While it could be assumed that it's just the old Office level but more graphics, the game immediately subverts that expectation when you enter a side room and encounter a fuse box. After finding a nearby fuse and opening the cover, you soon understand that this is an entirely different ballgame. Everything from your flashlight, to the cameras, to even the main building itself, runs on a battery that needs to be replenished using these fuses. And while this gameplay loop of finding fuses and replacing your equipment's battery is both fun and unique, it also fixes the 3 issues that I outlined before, because 1, it makes Bonnie knocking out a camera not an instant loss to Foxy, allowing them to actually work together. Because you're able to replace the fuses on cameras that get knocked out by Bonnie, Foxy spawning in those cameras is actually very fair and a really terrifying prospect. The general strategy during my playthroughs was to keep a spare fuse on me in case any unexpected situations like these cropped up, but being forced to replace a camera fuse can really mess up your pre-established flow of replacing all your fuses and forces you to adapt on the fly. 2. Having to retrieve fuses from the different cabinets and drawers actually ties the cupcakes into the main gameplay loop, since they now spawn where you would find fuses. In reality, this is kind of a small change, is what you would think, but since your flashlight now runs on a limited fuse, Chica now actually does something apart from wasting your time, which is wasting your flashlight battery that you need to use to flash Freddy, and also Chica's cupcakes. Another fun, scary situation added through this limited charge fuse mechanic is that you can end up flashing 2 cupcakes, find the third, and then realize you're completely out of juice, forcing you to replace your flashlight fuse in the midst of all this chaos. Also, something that I wanted to praise really quickly outside of this is just the sound design on the cupcakes. In story mode, you could use it to scope out where the cupcakes were without wasting time checking every hiding spot, but in the remake, it can also be used to suss out whether or not they're in the dresser you're checking without having to open each individual drawer, which is just so cool. Okay, lastly, point number 3 is that Freddy no longer kills you if you don't flash him enough times before the night ends. The night instead ending when you have flashed Freddy enough times. This might seem unrelated to fuses because I haven't linked it to them yet. I really need to stop poking holes in my own writing. I'm the guy who scripts these. But I believe that the Freddy killing you scenario was removed in favor of the more traditional blackout sequence that fuses, and power management in general, allow. I will concede, however, that this does kind of make the night non-threatening. Since there is no time pressure from Freddy, and the dev was careful to not allow wombo combos between the different animatronics to checkmate you, you can play really slow and patient without much stopping you, keeping all of your energy topped up and dealing with Freddy in your spare time. So while I'm not going to say this game is easier than the original because of this, seeing as the difficulty in this game is more through figuring out the mechanics, since you don't get the pre-recorded VHS tapes in the reboot, which you kind of miss.
Broke it! The bastard broke the camera! I don't know what happened. He just appeared, and as soon as I realized he was there, he just took it down and walked. They don't do that!
There's definitely a bit of pressure that is lost if you really know what you're doing. So, while I will say this is a big step up for the average player who will play through this level one time and move on, it loses a lot of replay value because of the unlimited fuses and fairly lax animatronics. Wait, they're developing a hard mode? Limited fuses? Hell yeah. Hell yeah.